In the vast silence between heaven and earth, where cultivators tread the razor's edge between life and oblivion, the path of immortality grows ever more treacherous. Storms gather unseen, and beneath calm waters, killing intent stirs. In the previous chapters, Wang Lin stood at the crossroads of fate, his heart tempered by countless trials, his will sharpened like a divine blade. Yet even for one who defies the heavens, the shadows of the unknown loom ever closer. Old grudges awaken, hidden powers reveal themselves, and the fragile balance of the cultivation world begins to tremble. Now as we enter, Renegade Immortal Chapter 5559, Chapter 560, the winds of destiny howl once more. What schemes lie in wait? What price must be paid for power? And as Wang Lin steps deeper into danger, will his resolve remain unbroken? Or will the heavens finally claim their due? The legend continues. Listen closely, for every breath may be his last. In a place where silence had long devoured the echoes of the past, even the dust dared not settle. Yet here, something had disturbed the stillness. Faint impressions scarred the floor, ghostly outlines where tables and chairs once stood. These marks were no ordinary traces. They were remnants of a shattered order, the lingering scars of a broken spell that once kept dust at bay. Wang Lin stood quietly within the loft, his gaze sharp, his presence still. Then he began to see, not with his eyes alone, but with the instincts of a seasoned cultivator. Every inch of the space whispered secrets, and those secrets spoke of intrusion. 3 people. At least 3 had stepped into this place before him. Of course, there was always the chance that others had wandered in, only to retreat after encountering the broken remnants of ancient restrictions. But Wang Lin did not dwell on uncertainty. He focused on what could be proven. Among the 3, the first visitor stood apart. This one was no ordinary cultivator. The marks of the 18 plum blossom restrictions were everywhere, etched into places where valuables once lay. The technique itself was refined, precise, almost arrogant. Whoever this person was, they had not bothered with trifles. Only the finest treasures had drawn their attention. Everything else was beneath them. After that figure departed, 2 more came. But compared to the first, their methods were crude, unrefined. They lacked elegance. They lacked restraint. They took what they could, even dismantling tables and chairs, hauling them away like scavengers. Wang Lin's eyes lowered to the ground. There, among the gray imprints, lay tiny flecks, almost invisible. Sawdust. He crouched slowly, pinching a bit between his fingers, examining it with care. A quiet breath escaped his lips. So they forced their way through. The destruction wasn't clean. The furniture had suffered damage during the process. He released the sawdust, and without another word, he turned and left the loft. Beyond it stretched a long corridor. On one side, a jade-like fence shimmered faintly, worn by time. Beyond that fence, a pond lay dry and lifeless, its former vitality long since drained. Even here, the traces remained. Broken restrictions littered the path. And once again, the unmistakable pattern of the 18 plum blossom restriction appeared within the empty basin. Wang Lin walked forward, step by measured step, his gaze sweeping across every detail. The fences bore signs of damage. The deeper he ventured, the fewer remnants remained. 5 kilometers passed in silence. At last, the corridor ended. Before him, it split into 3 separate paths. Wang Lin stopped. Still as a mountain. His eyes scanned each direction, calculating, weighing possibilities. He needed to determine one thing. Which path had the master of the 18 plum blossom restriction taken? That person was too thorough, too efficient. Following their trail would yield nothing. They were like a legendary thief who left no treasure behind. The other 2, they were different. They were plunderers, crude and limited. And because of that, they would inevitably leave something behind. Wang Lin stepped into each path briefly, walking a short distance before returning. Again, and again. Then, his eyes lit up. Without hesitation, he turned and rushed down the rightmost path. The scenery did not change, not at first, but the signs told a different story. Everywhere, broken restrictions, some shattered completely. Others, only half broken, abandoned midway. Whenever Wang Lin encountered such incomplete attempts, he stopped, observed, analyzed. He did not rush. He did not interfere. Understanding came first. The path stretched onward. The fence remained beside him, but the dried pond was gone. In its place, a dense bamboo grove swayed gently beyond the barrier. The air grew heavier, quieter. Then, Wang Lin froze. His lifted foot returned slowly to the ground. He did not move, but within his eyes, restrictions flickered like lightning. Ahead, 100 feet away, a pavilion. Inside it, a round table, 4 stools, a wine jug, several cups, simple, ordinary. Yet, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. A faint chill crept into his heart. Everything around the pavilion was intact. No broken restrictions, no signs of disturbance. Something is wrong. His gaze sharpened. I followed the trail of the last intruder, the one who broke through everything by force. And yet, here they stopped. His eyes lingered on the wine jug. There must be something hidden within that seemingly ordinary object. He stepped back slowly, carefully. His eyes danced with calculations as countless restriction patterns unfolded within his mind. Then, his expression grew grave. So that's it. The restriction here is not simple. It contains tens of thousands of variations. If I fail to comprehend it, then the moment I step within 100 feet, it will activate. And once triggered, even Wang Lin's voice within his thoughts grew heavy. With that many transformations, escape would be nearly impossible, unless one possesses heaven-defying cultivation. He paused, then continued. And more importantly, this pavilion is the core. It connects to all surrounding restrictions. One activation and everything will awaken. That is why the one before me chose to retreat. A silence followed, then a faint spark of excitement ignited within Wang Lin's chest. If the one who mastered the 18 plum blossom restriction had come here, they would have broken through, which means, his eyes gleamed, I chose correctly. No one has passed this point. For the first time since entering this place, hope surged within him. Until now, everything had already been plundered. It was like climbing a mountain of treasure, only to find it stripped bare. But here, this pavilion, this was the untouched peak. Wang Lin took a deep breath, calmed his heart. Then, he sat down, cross-legged, and began to study. To ordinary eyes, nothing could be seen. But to a master of restrictions, the space around the pavilion was a tangled web, layer upon layer, endless. If he wished to break it, there was only one path, observation. 3 days passed. His eyes grew bloodshot. Fatigue crept in. I can only perceive 3,000 variations. Far from enough. He frowned slightly. The restriction is dormant. Too many changes remain hidden. Then his hand rose. A strand of celestial spiritual energy gathered at his fingertip. He flicked it forward, and in the same instant, he retreated. Fast. So fast that an after-image lingered behind him. The moment the energy entered the 100-foot boundary, it shattered. Exploded into countless shimmering fragments, like a drop of water cast into boiling oil. A violent reaction erupted. The air distorted. Then, a crushing force surged outward, expanding, relentless. Had Wang Lin hesitated for even a breath, he would have been swallowed whole. He did not stop retreating until he was over 1,000 feet away. But even as he moved, his gaze never left the pavilion, and in that moment, his eyes burned with light. More than 10,000 changes. He sat down once more and began calculating. Time flowed, unnoticed. A month passed. Again and again, he provoked the restriction, just enough to observe. Each time he gained more. Each time his understanding deepened. He did not stop, not once. His eyes turned completely red, on the verge of bleeding. The outside world faded. He forgot where he was, forgot the cave, forgot everything. There was only one thing left in his mind: break the restriction. His knowledge surged. The ancient restrictions he had learned within the land of ancient gods, the countless texts he discovered on Suzaku, centuries of study, all of it fused together. Before this moment, he had reached a bottleneck, an invisible wall, one that countless cultivators never overcame. But now, with each variation he deciphered, with each layer unraveled, that wall began to crack. Then it shattered. A new path opened before him, a grand road, endless, profound. At this point, he estimated his chances. 40%. Only 40. But that alone was terrifying. Others might study this for thousands of years and barely reach 20%. Only ancient monsters, those who had lived for tens of thousands of years, would dare claim such confidence. Wang Lin fell silent. If that person were here, they might have 70%. He did not dwell on it. He continued. Another month passed. His understanding deepened further. 50%. Then, on that day, he stood. His eyes were bloodshot, but his spirit burned bright. He stepped forward, 100 feet from the pavilion, paused, calculated. Then he took a step, no hesitation, no fear. He knew The first step was safe. Nothing happened. His expression remained calm. He took another step, then another. 3 steps, 10 feet, 9 steps in total. He moved as if strolling through his own garden. Unhurried, unshaken, he stopped. 70 feet remained. His fingers moved slightly as calculations unfolded. Then he walked again. 9 more steps. 60 feet crossed, 60 feet. A distance so short, yet it had cost him 2 months of relentless deduction. Even ancient beings would find it difficult. But Wang Lin had carved a path through it, step by step, through a sea of death. 60 feet, and death began to whisper. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed to slits, sharp as blades drawn in silence. He did not advance. Instead, he retreated, 3 steps back. Then, shifting sideways, 9 precise steps, each placed as if the ground itself were listening. Again, 3 steps back. Only then did he move forward once more. His path curved like a subtle arc in the void, tracing a nearly invisible circle. And when he came to a halt again, he stood just 30 feet from the pavilion. His expression remained calm, too calm, because none of this was guesswork. Every movement, every breath, every step he had taken had already been lived countless times within his mind. 10,000 variations, 10,000 changes, all of them etched into his heart, only after calculating them again and again until certainty replaced doubt. Did he dare to move like this? And it was precisely because of that certainty that he could walk with such deceptive ease. But Wang Lin understood something deeply. If even a single step went wrong, if his foot strayed even a fraction from the path, the backlash of the restriction would descend upon him without mercy. The first 60 feet had merely been a warning. The final 40, that was where true annihilation waited. With his current cultivation, he would not survive it. Yet even within deadly celestial restrictions, there was always a sliver of life, a hidden thread, a path of survival. If one could grasp it in the instant between life and death, they would live. If not, they would vanish without a trace. This was the nature of celestial restrictions, but the path of safety was not fixed. It moved, it shifted, it drifted like a ghost within the formation. And for the past 2 months, while studying the ever-changing restriction, Wang Lin had done something even more dangerous. He had hunted that path, deduced it, tracked its rhythm, calculated its movement. The reason he had just circled from 60 to 70 feet was because the safe path itself had shifted, and throughout it all, he kept himself no more than 1 step away from survival. Now, he stood at 70 feet, still, silent, calculating. A moment passed. Then he moved. In a single step, he crossed 10 feet. No hesitation, no pause. He landed, and instantly stepped again, crossing another 10 feet. But the moment his foot touched the ground, his expression changed. Without the slightest delay, he shifted half a step to the left. And in that exact instant, a black tornado erupted within the final 10 feet. It came from nowhere, a vortex of destruction. Violent winds howled as if tearing apart the heavens. Within it, strands of black lightning coiled and lashed like enraged dragons. In less than a breath, that 10-foot space became a domain of annihilation. The winds roared. Lightning struck without mercy. This was not something even ascendant cultivators could endure, let alone Wang Lin. The lightning twisted like serpents of ruin, each strike capable of erasing existence itself. And yet, within that storm, Wang Lin moved, step by step. His figure flickered like a phantom within the hurricane. Each step, exact, each movement, calculated, he threaded through lightning bolts that could destroy worlds. Every footfall landed upon that shifting path of survival. One mistake, and his origin soul would be extinguished. The earlier shift was not an error. No, it was something far more dangerous. The restriction had reversed its flow. 10 breaths passed. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the tornado vanished. The black lightning faded into nothingness, as if it had never existed. Wang Lin did not linger. His body flashed forward, crossing the final 10 feet in an instant. He landed inside the pavilion, safe, but not unscathed. Sweat drenched his forehead. The price of survival was written clearly upon him, and the moment he entered, the world changed. A radiant light burst forth, illuminating the entire 100-foot area around the pavilion. The scenery twisted, shifted, transformed. It was as if clouds parted before his eyes. Before him appeared a tranquil landscape, an artificial mountain rising gently, lush grass spreading endlessly, and a bamboo grove seamlessly merging with the one beyond. It felt like stepping out of death's grasp and into another world. Then a voice echoed from the void, calm, ancient. Those who break the restriction gain the right to temporarily possess this cave. So long as you live, no one else may enter. As the words faded, a streak of golden light descended from afar. It halted before Wang Lin. Floating dot silent, it was a crystal token, no larger than a finger, yet it shimmered with 7-colored light. This is the cave token. Hold it, and the cave shall open to you. Wang Lin inhaled deeply, then reached out, grasping the token. His gaze swept across the pavilion. Every stone table, every chair, all were protected by intricate restrictions, untouchable. Yet compared to the lethal formation outside, these were far weaker. He ignored the tables, ignored the chairs. His eyes locked onto something else. The wine jug, resting upon the round table, its restriction was delicate, refined, but not beyond him. After a brief moment of deduction, Wang Lin raised his right hand. A ripple like water appeared 3 inches from the jug. He pointed at it. Ripples expanded outward. Then, with a flick of his finger, he cast an illusory restriction into the ripple. Instantly, the water began to boil. A vortex formed at its center, spinning, growing, faster and faster, until it became a circular void. Without hesitation, Wang Lin's hand shot forward like lightning. Through the vortex, he grabbed the jug and withdrew. In an instant, the ripple vanished. The world returned to stillness. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with excitement. The jug felt heavy. It was not empty. He opened it. A fragrance, fresh and intoxicating, filled the air. Inside, 10 drops of wine remained. Only 10. Wang Lin stared. This jug is heavy, yet holds only 10 drops. But this is celestial wine. It cannot be ordinary. He hesitated, struggled, then gritted his teeth. He poured out a single drop and swallowed it. The moment it entered, his body turned crimson. Celestial spiritual energy exploded within him, wild, overwhelming. A faint intoxication rose within him. The energy surged through his meridians like a raging flood. His dantian burned, a scorching current shooting upward through his body. The drunken sensation deepened, his vision blurred, his thoughts dulled. His body swayed, tilted, and then collapsed, into sleep. Time passed. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. For an entire year, Wang Lin slept. Soft snores echoed from him. Since beginning cultivation, he had rarely slept. But this was the deepest sleep he had known in centuries. Yet even in slumber, his power grew. The celestial, spiritual energy within him surged at a terrifying speed. So fast that even the all-seer would be stunned beyond words. At a certain point, the demon crystal within his dantian shattered, melted, demonic energy surged outward, only to be devoured instantly by the celestial energy, assimilated, refined, made his own. Strands of celestial energy seeped from his body, spreading throughout the 100-foot area. By the end of the year, the air itself was saturated with it, and through it all, his hand never released the wine jug. Then, on a certain day, his eyes opened. A burp escaped him, carrying the scent of wine. Confusion flickered within his gaze. He looked around, then clarity returned. Instantly, he rose to his feet, alert, vigilant. His eyes scanned everything. Then he frowned. His gaze fell upon the wine jug. He remembered only drinking a single drop, then losing control, then nothing. He immediately checked within himself, and what he found shattered his composure. His voice trembled. How long have I been asleep? Shock, true shock, something he had not felt in years. The celestial spiritual energy within me has already surpassed the peak of late-stage soul transformation. His breath quickened. I only need deeper comprehension of my domain, and I can step into the life and death trial to become an ascendant. He stared at the jug as if it were something unreal. What kind of wine is this? Carefully, he stored it in his bag of holding, then paused, still uneasy. He took it back out, layered it with powerful restrictions, and only then returned it. I must completely clear this place. His desire burned, but beneath the excitement, a trace of fear lingered. Luckily, my domain has not reached ascendant level yet. Otherwise, I would have attempted the breakthrough in my sleep. He shuddered slightly. I wouldn't have been able to take out the ascendant crystal Zhou Yi gave me. If I failed, I would have died without even knowing why. Then, his eyes lit up again. With my current strength, no one at the soul transformation stage can match me. All I need is for my domain to advance. Then, I'll find a hidden place to break through. He looked around. This place is the most hidden of all. When the time comes, I will return here to step into the ascendant stage. A faint smile appeared. Fate truly governs all things. If I hadn't stumbled into this place, even with celestial jade, it would have taken years to reach this level. So this is what mortals call a fortuitous encounter. His mood lifted. After a year of sleep, his condition was perfect. He prepared to continue exploring, to break the remaining restrictions. But then, a thought struck him. How long did I truly sleep? What if it was decades or even centuries? If so, the world outside, he fell silent. Then his gaze sharpened. It landed upon the distant bamboo grove, hidden within a faint outline, a corner of a fence, barely visible yet unmistakable. Earlier? I didn't notice. There's another structure here. It looks like the courtyard of a mortal temple. He pondered, but did not approach. Instead, he took out the crystal token. His divine sense entered it. Ripples of light spread, and in the next moment, his figure vanished from the cave.